I think this is the watermark here. I know we could see it clearly, but it doesn't seem so clear anymore. But I think so. So now we can see that's my shoulders up to the top almost. So above the watermark by about 10 inches. So you can see how far out it is now. There are 4 palm trees down low. Drawing from the ground. I'm drawing from the sun. All the energy coming from the sun. And the water coming from the ground. This is a little rough terrain here. Maybe the watermark is lower. Look at this white line here. But I think it did go higher. Or maybe not. Maybe that's it. Possibly. The plants are taken over now that the water has withdrawn. Got some new graffiti here, but I think we saw that already once. Well, actually, I think the water was up to the top of the graffiti there. Just below those. And over there, maybe the wall's a little higher. So we have very inspiring readings today. Very tough reading in the gospel, like a big claim. And also a big claim in the first reading, that love is the fulfillment of the law. And it's really not a big surprise from hindsight, because we gradually discover that God is love. It's been a path for mankind to discover that. It wasn't the idea of Greek mythology and their treatment of the divine, the divinity. Their gods were projections of human passions and powers of nature. But the God of revelation spoke in the language of the people chosen to receive the revelation, and little by little they discovered more and more the nobility of God. His fidelity would stand even if their fidelity would collapse. And discovered a God who was so faithful. And it took a long time to discover that. It takes us a long time to discover that. It takes a child a long time to discover that the parents love them, even though they're applying a certain discipline and certain ways to behave that go against the child's immediate desires and drives of nature, and sometimes fallen nature. I want you to say a prayer for a man yesterday who contacted me whose heart is overpowered by hatred. And he says it, he admits it, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult. It takes a long, long time to discover love, especially when there's a lot of hurt. And the experience of the human beings was a lot of mutual hurt, a lot of fighting, family-centered and tribal-centered, and always ego-centered. All of us. It's hard not to be. Hard not to be. We have a force of gravity. Just like if I take a stone here. Well, look what I found here. A pair of earphones. And it just looked like another stone, but I thought it was funny. Now let me take a stone here and see how long it will stay up in the air. It hit the ground already. And that's a bit like our hearts. We have this force of gravity that comes back into ourselves so much, and to become free to give ourselves the limiting of revenge in the Old Testament was a very important step. Very important step. Not to be despised or laughed at or looked down upon. It simply was one of those steps of growth, just like a kid's on all fours when they start moving around, and little by little they stand up and walk on their legs. Eventually they can run around without falling, and then they're tearing around everywhere and jumping and high jumping and long jumping and pole vaulting and flying and gliders. Amazing our mobility as we grow. Yesterday I had a delightful moment with an aunt who will be 90 at the end of the month, God willing. And she's very happy that she's very mobile. I presume you can hear the birds. We grow. We could also decline. I also saw my uncle yesterday at the WhatsApp call, and now he's having breathing support and saying prayers for him as well. It's coming to the end of his earthly life. And so in the moral life as well, we're able to get up and running and discover that love is the meaning of life. Discover that love is the meaning of life, that God is love. That love sums up everything. That if you really love people, you're not going to do them harm. True love, not what's disguised as love and is pure selfishness and exploitation and is self-gratifying, pleasure-seeking in the other because of a heart being so cramped in itself. Love is the fulfillment of the law. It's a lot for us to learn. And it's the task of life to discover this truth about ourselves. And not just to discover it as a truth that we know, but as a lifestyle by which we live. How we decide to live. And how we actually live then habitually. Because we can make a decision to live by love, but that force of gravity brings us down very fast again into our self-centered self, where there's very little happiness when we are turned in on ourselves. We are made for relationship. That's actually the meaning of the word person in Christian philosophy. Originally the word person was in Greek drama and Greek theater, persona, and it was the mask that represented the role an actor played. So they played the persona. We still use that word in drama. And then as the philosophical and theological exploration of the emerging discovery of the Holy Trinity grew, the word persona was used, was borrowed, but filled with a very new fullness of meaning to denote the three in the Trinity were three persona, three persons, one God, three persons. And so God internally is relationship. God is love. And then gradually the word persona, person, then was applied to each human being, made in the reflection of God. And it means the human being not as an individual. The word individual means undividable. If you have a family together, you can divide them into the parents and the children. But you can't break down a person. It's like the way it used to be thought about an atom. Because if we take away my arm or my leg, well, I'm still a person, but without an arm or a leg. But my arm and my leg don't exist on their own. So my person is a relationship being. Like in the Trinity, the three persons are in relationship. So a person, it doesn't mean individual, it means a human being who's in relationship. And what are our relationships? Well, a very primary relationship for any of us when we appear on the horizon of reality is that we come from parents. And that's the meaning of the word parents, father and mother. And they are only a father and mother. In my case, when I was conceived and born, that individual, Paddy Kelly, was now a father. That individual, Anna Clancy, his wife, is now a mother. And so in relationship. So they're only as mother in as much as they have a child. And I'm a son in as much as I have parents. And our relationships then reflect, and are called to reflect, and are blessed to reflect that love. And then I only become a brother when my sister Carmel was born. And now I'm a brother. And she's my sister. So we're in a relationship, a sibling relationship, brother and sister. And then another sister is born, and so now my sister has a sister. And I still don't have a brother until my brother is born. And we're all in relationships. So if we sink into ourselves, we deny that whole relationship dimension of our reality, which is constitutive of, it constitutes us, it establishes us as a person. Tractors don't have relationships. But the mistake could be then that the farmer would love the tractor so much that it would be like almost adoring his tractor. Could happen. This tractor is just for pulling in the boats and pulling them out. But if a farmer is so excited about his tractor that that's the most important concentration point of his life, then he could very well be heading into idolatry. Or a dog, or a kitten, or a house. And this ties in with the gospel today, because the last line of the gospel is very severe surgery without anesthetics. Well, of course, if you have the love of all that's revealed in the person of Christ, then you have motivation to realize this guy doesn't like talking to me that he's not God. He's protesting. He wants to be God for somebody. I disturbed their morning peace. Sorry about that, little dogs. And so Jesus says, unless we're able to give up everything, we're not worthy of the kingdom of heaven. And that's quite a statement. Because none of those things can fill our heart. They're all very useful. It's good to have a guard dog. It's good to have a boat, a yacht. It's good to have a tractor if you need it, But again, they're all things that don't fill our heart. So love sums up the law, and we can turn away from all things. We can take care of them. Good husbandry of reality, taking care of our universe, our cosmos, our ecology, very important in our times. I probably went over time again today. I've been doing that for a while, so forgive me. God bless you. See you later, alligators. So many beautiful features in this morning's experience here at the Sea of Galilee. The trees and the light and the lake and the birds and the dogs. God bless you.